Have you ever felt that quiet ache of loneliness or wondered if living alone means missing out on life's joys? Maybe your family worries about you being isolated, or sometimes you catch yourself wondering if happiness fades when you're on your own. But what if that's not the whole story? What if living alone can be a source of freedom and fulfillment, especially for women over 65? It's a question many don't ask, yet it's one worth exploring because the truth is often overlooked. In this video, we're going to explore 5 different kinds of women who are not just surviving but thriving while living alone. By the end, you might see your own story in a new light, or discover something inspiring that changes how you think about happiness and independence. Let's walk this journey together. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Type 1. The independent spirit. You wake up to a quiet house bathed in the soft orange of an early morning sun, the scent of fresh coffee twisting its way from the kitchen to wherever you happen to be. There is no rustling of a partner hunting for socks, no TV blaring news you don't care to hear, no phone chiming with someone else's schedule. It is just you and the hum of the refrigerator, a silence some call lonely, but you have grown to know as spacious. Still, every so often, a well-meaning friend will lean in and say, "Are you sure you're all right living by yourself?" They worry, and you almost start to worry too, as though independence after 65 were a red flag rather than a badge of hard-won freedom. But here's a question that's rarely asked out loud. What if living alone at this age isn't a risk at all, a resource? What if your solo mornings and choose-your-own-adventure afternoons are not signs that you're missing something, but invitations to deepen everything you already are? Sociologists have begun noticing a trend they call intentional solitude, a pattern in which older adults, especially women, report higher life satisfaction when they steer their ships. Instead of independence predicting decline, it often predicts zest, engagement, and even better health markers. The common assumption that you need constant company to thrive may simply be outdated. So what's happening beneath this phenomenon? Part of the answer lies in the way autonomy affects the brain. Research from the University of Michigan's Institute for Social Research found that older adults who perceive greater control over their daily choices show lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone linked to everything from high blood pressure to weakened immunity. When you decide how to spend your morning, what to eat for lunch, or whether you'll take the scenic route home from the grocery store, you send your nervous system a clear message: I'm safe, I'm in charge, I can adapt. This calm confidence stabilizes your heart rate, supports healthy digestion, and even sharpens cognitive flexibility, your ability to switch between tasks or learn something new. In other words, independence isn't just an emotional preference. It's a biochemical advantage. Physical safety often comes up as the trump card against solo living, but data paint a more nuanced picture. A study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society tracked falls among seniors and discovered that those who exercised self-directed activity plans, choosing their low-impact workouts, setting personal reminders to stand and stretch, reduced fall risk more effectively than peers following generic group programs. Freedom allowed them to tailor routines precisely to their strengths and limitations, leading to better balance and body awareness. Independence, once again, turned into practical protection. Of course, knowledge alone doesn't pour coffee or carry groceries. Translating this science into day-to-day habits is the real trick. The good news? It's less about grand reinvention and more about micro-decisions that accumulate into a sturdy sense of agency. Start with what gerontologists call a morning mastery ritual. Carve out 10 minutes every dawn, before email, before headlines, to set one intention that belongs solely to you. Maybe it's finishing a watercolor sketch, phoning your sister, or walking 2 blocks farther than yesterday. Writing it down on a sticky note boosts follow-through by nearly 40%, according to a small Harvard study on goal commitment. Next, curate an independence network. That phrase may sound contradictory, but a community designed on your terms strengthens autonomy rather than diluting it. Think of 3 circles. The inner circle of emergency contacts, neighbor, daughter, longtime friend. A middle circle of hobby partners, the women you quilt with on Tuesdays, the retired engineer who fixes everyone's lawnmowers, and an outer circle of professional supports, your doctor, the pharmacist who knows you by name, the local handyman. Post this list near the phone. By consciously mapping relationships, you're reminding yourself, help is available, but I decide when to call. Psychologists note that this kind of proactive planning lowers anxiety more effectively than vague promises to reach out if needed, because it moves support from abstract to actionable. Then there's the home environment, your headquarters of sovereignty. Small adjustments can amplify both safety and delight. Swap round doorknobs for lever handles that are easier on arthritic wrists. Install LED strip lights under cabinets so midnight snacking doesn't turn into a toe-stubbing expedition. But also sprinkle in joy cues, a wind chime by the back door, photos from your solo road trip through the Rockies, a basket of library books in the spot where a spouse's recliner might have gone. Occupational therapists refer to this balance as functional flourish. Spaces that are secure yet brimming with the personality of the person who steers them. Let me introduce you to someone who embodies these principles. Linda Rodriguez, 72, widowed 9 years ago, living in a small town outside Santa Fe. The day after her husband's funeral, relatives descended with brochures for assisted living facilities. Linda smiled politely, thanked everyone, and then drove herself to a dance studio she'd noticed in passing but never dared enter. If not now, when? She thought. She signed up for beginner's West Coast swing, taped the class schedule to her fridge, and built her week around those rhythmic evenings. A month later, she added Saturday hikes with a local Sierra Club chapter, discovering desert canyons she'd only seen in postcards. Her doctor, curious about her sudden surge of energy, ran a routine checkup. Blood pressure down, cholesterol improved, resting heart rate lower than it had been in her 50s. Linda's secret wasn't a miracle pill. It was the chemistry of choice. That's not to say every day shines with studio lights. There are moments when Linda misses beard trimmings in the sink or the way her husband used to mispronounce quesadilla. On those mornings, she practices what psychologists term constructive nostalgia. Instead of pushing memories away, she sets an extra coffee mug at the opposite end of the kitchen island, lifts a silent toast to the life she shared, and then moves the cup to the drying rack, an embodied reminder that love can be honored without surrendering the present. The ritual takes 90 seconds, yet Linda says it clears emotional fog for hours. If constructing a whole new life model feels daunting, begin smaller. This evening, choose one meal that caters only to your taste. Maybe your partner hated asparagus. Roast a bundle with a drizzle of olive oil and lemon zest just for you. Chew slowly, noticing the pop of each green spear. That deliberate self-directed act sparks dopamine release, a neurotransmitter tied to motivation. The brain registers the event as success, nudging you to chase more self-affirming moments tomorrow. And remember, independence doesn't mean isolation. The independent spirit knows when to open the door as well as when to close it. Schedule check-ins that suit your rhythm, a Sunday video call with grandchildren, a Thursday potluck with widowed friends, a monthly museum stroll on senior discount day. These gatherings become highlights instead of obligations because you place them on the calendar. As you contemplate your version of Linda's swing shoes or canyon trails, allow yourself grace. You might experiment with watercolor and hate it. Try Tai Chi and wobble like a sapling in the wind. That's fine. Neuroscientist Dr. Wendy Suzuki reminds us that the aging brain remains plastically potent. Novelty, even messy novelty, stimulates growth in the hippocampus, the region central to memory formation. Every fresh attempt is cognitive fertilizer, regardless of the outcome. So here's your gentle nudge. Tomorrow morning, before the kettle whistles, jot down that one intention. Tape it somewhere obvious. Let it pull you through the day like a friendly dog on a leash. By nightfall, Review how acting on your own decision felt in your muscles, in your breath, behind your eyes. Chances are you'll sense a quiet electrification, proof that independence is not a stage of life to endure but a vital organ of well-being. One that keeps pumping as long as you keep giving it reasons to beat. If doubt creeps in, picture Linda twirling across a wooden floor, her silver ponytail swinging in time with the music, her smile widening every time she nails a turn. She is not exceptional in talent or resources. She is simply stubbornly devoted to her autonomy. And if she can rewrite the script of late-life solitude into a dance card of possibilities, so can you. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Hold on to that image as you step into your quiet kitchen tomorrow. Hear the fridge hum, feel the coffee cup warm your palms, and know this: the silence surrounding you isn't emptiness. It's breathing room, space wide enough for hope to stretch, for curiosity to wander, for your truest self to spin a little, laugh a little, and claim the day as unmistakably, unapologetically yours. Type 2. The social butterfly. You pad into the kitchen on a Wednesday morning, intent on nothing more ambitious than a cup of Earl Grey and the crossword. Before the kettle even whistles, your phone buzzes, a cheerful reminder from Patty about tonight's trivia league at the library. A moment later, an email pops up from the neighborhood garden club asking if you'll lead the tomato station at Saturday's plant swap. You pour your tea, shake your head with a little laugh, and think, didn't I move into this quiet condo to slow down? The rhythm may feel familiar if you're one of those women who can't walk the dog without striking up 3 new conversations. And yet, well-meaning friends sometimes fret, aren't you lonely at home by yourself? The hidden assumption is clear: living solo must mean sitting in silence. But here's a question to flip that script. What if your independent address is precisely what lets your social life bloom? Without a partner's schedule to negotiate or roommates' preferences to juggle, every open hour becomes an invitation to coffee, to choir, to a spur-of-the-moment road trip for peach pie 2 counties away. Scientists have a term for the magnetic zest you feel when you step into a room full of friendly faces: social vitality. Harvard's 84-year study of adult development found that participants who nurtured warm relationships in their 70s showed sharper memory, steadier moods, and even stronger grip strength by their 80s. Researchers at the University of Chicago went a step further, demonstrating that a single afternoon of lively conversation boosts oxytocin, the bonding hormone that calms blood pressure and tamps down the body's stress response. Put simply, connection is medicine, and you're already dosing yourself every time you RSVP yes. Still, a busy calendar alone doesn't guarantee well-being. It's the quality that matters. Picture your social world as a garden. Diverse plantings thrive, while a single crop can wither if pests arrive. Gerontologists described 3 levels that keep the garden healthy. First are your roots, lifelong friends or siblings who know your embarrassing high school haircut and why you can't stand canned peas. They anchor you when storms come. Next are the perennials, the book club crew, fellow volunteers at the animal shelter, and the friend you split gym fees with. They pop up reliably, bringing color week after week. Finally, the annuals, people you meet once at the farmer's market or chat with on the train, brief bursts of novelty that spark curiosity and brain growth. A flourishing social butterfly tends all 3 layers, pruning here, fertilizing there, never letting any single branch bear the entire weight of her happiness. How do you cultivate that balance without wearing yourself ragged? Start with a practice neurologists call the 3-touch rule. Aim for 3 positive social touches each day. 1 intimate, a heart-to-heart phone call, 1 structured, attending choir practice, and 1 spontaneous, chatting with a barista. Jot them on a sticky note in the morning. Check them off by bedtime. Studies show that people who plan social activity the way others plan workouts are more likely to follow through and report higher life satisfaction 6 months later. Next, harness tech as your wingman, not your rival. A Pew Research Center survey found that 75% of Americans over 65 now own a smartphone, and those who use video chat weekly score lower on loneliness scales than peers who rely solely on voice calls. If tapping tiny screens strains your eyes, invest in a 10-inch tablet with voice commands. Schedule a virtual coffee date every Thursday. 15 minutes on Zoom with your cousin in Oregon. Tea mug in hand, slippers in plain sight. No need for lipstick and pearls unless you feel like it. Of course, nothing replaces face-to-face laughter. That's where micro-events come in, brief, low-stakes gatherings designed for energy, not exhaustion. Try hosting a 20-minute porch sing-along at sunset. Neighbors drop by, belt one verse of "You Are My Sunshine," then head home before mosquitoes notice. Or declare the first Monday of each month, Soup and Stories Night. Everyone brings one childhood tale and a ladle. Because the event is short and recurring, guests know exactly what to expect, and you never have to fret over elaborate menus or spotless floors. Now let me introduce Mary Lou Davis, age 68, retired kindergarten teacher and self-proclaimed extrovert-in-chief of Cedar Falls, Iowa. 2 years after her divorce, Mary Lou found evenings unbearably quiet. Instead of scrolling social media, she pinned a neon flyer on the grocery bulletin board, First Friday Pie Club. 7 p.m., my porch. Bring a slice or a song. 9 neighbors showed up. By month 3, attendance had doubled, featuring pumpkin pie, banjo tunes, and one shy widower reading his late wife's haiku. Mary Lou wound fairy lights around the railing and kept a thermos of hot cider ready in winter. In a year, she'd built a safety net she hadn't even known she'd needed. When she slipped on black ice and cracked her wrist, Pie Club members drove her to appointments, took turns walking her spaniel, and stocked her freezer with chicken pot pies. Her doctor remarked that patients with that level of support heal faster, and indeed, Mary Lou's cast came off a full week ahead of schedule. The secret behind her porch-to-recovery pipeline is something psychologists call mattering. When you host, help, or simply show up, you receive a biological reminder that your presence counts. MRI scans reveal that feeling useful lights up reward circuits in the brain much the same way chocolate or a hug does. For older adults, this neural glow combats the creeping thought that the world has moved on without them. So, how can you spark mattering today? Begin with one invitation. Text 2 friends. Fancy a 30-minute walk around Maple Park tomorrow? Step count optional. Bird gossip guaranteed. Keep expectations ridiculously low on purpose. The easier they ask, the higher the yes rate. Afterward, jot a note about how you felt. Did your shoulders loosen? Did you sleep better? Tracking micro-benefits cements the social habit, turning outings from nice extras into non-negotiable self-care. If mobility or health challenges limit outings, pivot to what geriatric researchers term ambient togetherness. Listen to a favorite radio host live, knowing thousands of others hear the same voice at that moment. Join an online memoir class where everyone writes silently for 20 minutes, then shares a single paragraph. These parallel experiences trigger the same mirror neuron activity as in-person gatherings, offering comfort without travel. And let's talk about saying no, because even butterflies need to land. Social fatigue is real, especially when energy varies day to day. Adopt the 72-hour courtesy rule. Thank the inviter, sleep on it, and reply within 3 days. This buffer shields you from impulsively overcommitting, yet respects the organizer's planning. Remember, the goal is a nourishing garden, not kudzu. When loneliness does creep in, as it will, even for the chirpiest soul, use the name check. Notice the feeling, accept it without judgment, move, stand, stretch, open a window, and engage, call someone or step outside. Researchers at UCLA's Loneliness Lab found that such rapid response strategies cut the duration of lonely episodes nearly in half, preventing them from settling into a mood. Before we close, picture Mary Lou again, now on her porch at dusk, fairy lights twinkling like fireflies. She slices rhubarb pie, passes plates, and listens as a newcomer strums, you've got a friend. Her condo still holds just one toothbrush, one favorite mug, and one pillow dented by one head. Yet her life is anything but singular. It's a kaleidoscope of voices, stories, harmonies, all weaving through the open weave of her independent days. So, tomorrow morning, while the kettle warms and the crossword waits, pull out your calendar and plant 3 seeds of connection. Make one intimate, one structured, one spontaneous. Protect them as fiercely as you would a doctor's appointment, because, in many ways, they are doctor's appointments, prescribing laughter for your heart, conversation for your brain, and belonging for your spirit. Let each RSVP remind you that home may be a solo address, but life, when you spread your wings, is a vibrant, ever-changing flock. Type 3. The caregiver to herself. You slip your feet into a pair of soft slippers and pad toward the kitchen, savoring the hush that blankets the house before the world starts knocking. The radio is off, the TV remote sleeps on the couch, and the only sound is the reassuring drip-drip of a coffee maker that seems to understand just how slowly mornings ought to unfold. Yet as you open the refrigerator, a familiar inner voice pipes up. Shouldn't you be doing something more useful than choosing vanilla oat milk over half and half? Years of prioritizing everyone else, children, spouse, aging parents, co-workers, have wired your brain to equate self-attention with selfishness. Even now, with the nest empty and the calendar finally your own, you hesitate before taking the last ripe peach because what if someone needs it more? In that moment, you recognize a pattern many older women share. We have spent decades caring for others so intently that caring for ourselves feels like playing hooky from responsibility. But what if the assumption is backward? What if the most generous thing you can do for family, friends, and community at 65 or 75 is to place your well-being at the top of the to-do list? A Harvard Medical School review reminds us that caregiver fatigue isn't limited to those tending ailing relatives. It accumulates over a lifetime of putting personal needs on perpetual hold. Chronic fatigue, depression, and even cardiac events spike in women who continue to sideline their health after retirement. Flip that script, and the benefits grow dramatic. Seniors who prioritize daily self-care, adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, joyful movement, extend health span, the years lived without major illness, by nearly a decade compared with peers who treat self-care as optional. Far from being self-indulgence, tending to your mind and body is prevention, empowerment, and, yes, a service to everyone who loves you. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The biology behind this truth is surprisingly elegant. When you schedule a brisk walk before breakfast, your muscles contract and release myokines, tiny signaling proteins that travel to the brain, prompting the hippocampus to produce new neurons. Those fresh brain cells support memory retention and reduce the risk of dementia. Choose a colorful plate, deep green spinach, ruby strawberries, sunflower yellow eggs, and you flood your bloodstream with polyphenol and omega-3 fats that dampen chronic inflammation, the quiet saboteur behind joint pain and cardiovascular disease. Even a simple 5-breath mindfulness pause lowers cortisol within minutes, softening arterial walls and improving insulin sensitivity. Neuroscientist Dr. Wendy Suzuki calls this trio of movement, nutrition, and mindful breath the neurochemical love letter you can send yourself every single day. Turning knowledge into practice need not feel like adding chores to an already crammed drawer. Start by borrowing a tactic from behavioral economists. Make self-care frictionless. Place a small pitcher of water and a favorite glass on your nightstand each evening. When you wake, hydration is one arm's reach away, no trek to the kitchen required. Keep resistance bands looped over the living room doorknob. Each time you walk past, perform 12 slow pulls to wake shoulder muscles and boost circulation. Attach purpose to ordinary routines. Leg stretches while the microwave counts down oatmeal, calf raises during toothbrushing, gratitude journaling while steeping tea. These habit hooks stitch wellness seamlessly into the fabric of your day, so taking care of yourself becomes the default, not the exception. Midday offers another pocket of possibility. Researchers at Stanford University found that a 15-minute sensorial reset midday stepping outside to notice the temperature against your cheeks, the scent of cut grass, even the distant rumble of a UPS truck, restores attentional capacity as effectively as a full 45-minute nap. Set an alarm labeled, "Step into Daylight." No guilt, no scrolling, just a short rendezvous with sunshine and oxygen. If weather or mobility keeps you indoors, replicate nature by queuing up a 5-minute video of ocean waves on a tablet. Brain imaging shows virtual nature still drops heart rate and releases dopamine. Food, too, transforms when viewed through the lens of self-stewardship. Instead of counting calories, think in colors and textures. Fill half the lunch plate with vegetables, roasted Brussels sprouts drizzled with balsamic or chilled cucumber slices dusted with dill. Protein can be as humble as a handful of walnuts or as celebratory as grilled salmon. Swap the post-meal slump for stable afternoon energy by keeping blood sugar steady. Pair fruit with a spoonful of almond butter so fiber and healthy fats slow glucose release. These tweaks aren't diet rules. They are love notes to future you, ensuring the next hour's knees, eyes, and mood feel cared for. Lest any of this sound theoretical, consider the real-life pivot of Diane Coleman, 75, a retired postal worker from Des Moines. After losing her husband to pancreatic cancer, Diane moved through grief with mechanical resolve, sorting paperwork, mowing the lawn, babysitting grandkids, until routine doctor visits rang alarms. Blood pressure up, cholesterol high, borderline diabetes knocking. Her physician handed her prescriptions. Her pharmacist offered pill organizers. Diane accepted both but felt unsatisfied, sensing she was treating symptoms, not roots. One rainy Sunday, she unearthed an old Polaroid of herself at 22, grinning mid-spin on a roller skating rink. The contrast between that carefree posture and her current exhaustion jolted her awake. I used to care for myself. The next morning, Diane wrote 3 bullet points on a post-it. Move, nourish, breathe. She refused to let more than 2 waking hours pass without touching at least one bullet. 10 minutes of YouTube chair yoga, an apple sliced into yogurt, a slow exhale while listening to Louis Armstrong. Check, check, check. Within 6 weeks, her smartwatch reported 5,000 steps most days, up from 1,500. She shaved salt from supper and added blueberries to cereal. By her 3-month follow-up, systolic blood pressure had dropped 10 points, and the pre-diabetic label vanished. Diane never joined CrossFit or swore off chocolate. She simply turned her caregiving instincts inward, tending body and spirit as faithfully as she once tended route deliveries and family dinners. Self-care also includes emotional boundaries. Phone notifications after 9 p.m.? Mute. Relatives who expect your calendar to absorb their errands? Practice the gentle refusal. I'd love to help, but I've already committed that time to my health routine. Therapists call this protecting your oxygen mask, a metaphor borrowed from airline safety cards. Just as passengers are told to secure their masks before assisting others, you safeguard resources, time, energy, attention, so you can offer support from abundance rather than depletion. Counterintuitively, you end up giving more, not less, because you are fueled, not frazzled. If finances allow, schedule periodic body gratitude checkups beyond insurance-required visits. A massage releases serotonin, a visit to the podiatrist keeps feet dancing, an eye exam ensures sunsets stay crisp. Many community colleges now offer low-cost wellness courses for seniors, water aerobics, tai chi, whole food cooking, bundling social connection with self-investment. Think of these line items as dividends, not expenses. Every dollar spent on preventive well-being can save hundreds in hospital copays and, more importantly, months of curtailed freedom. You may worry that pampering yourself will appear vain or frivolous. Yet historians remind us that pioneering nurse Florence Nightingale drank a daily cup of cocoa and watched the sunset for strength of heart. Eleanor Roosevelt scheduled solo horseback rides to reset her mind before policy battles. They, too, were caregivers to themselves, recognizing that personal steadiness undergirds public contribution. Evenings are your final canvas. Dim lights signal melatonin, the sleep hormone, but also paint the room with calm. Slip into lavender-scented lotion not for romance or company, but because touch is one of the first senses we deny ourselves when living alone. A slow, mindful rub across shins whispers to the nervous system, I am here, I am safe, I am worth the time. Pair that ritual with a soothing playlist or an audiobook chapter read by a warm voice. Neuroscientists find that rhythmic spoken stories slow brain waves into the theta range, ideal for memory consolidation and restorative rest. As you slide between cool sheets, reflect on your 3 bullet points. If one slipped through the cracks, meet that fact with curiosity, not criticism. What obstacle nudged self-care aside today, and how might I dance around it tomorrow? Research on positive aging shows that self-compassion, more than self-discipline, predicts adherence to healthy routines. Treat yourself as kindly as you would a grandchild learning to ride a bike, and your brain will repay you with persistence. So, dear caregiver to herself, cradle that coffee mug without guilt. Roast the best peach for breakfast because you love how the caramelized edges taste against cinnamon. Schedule the mammogram, the Tai Chi class, the afternoon nap, and guard them as fiercely as you once guarded family dinners or workplace deadlines. When you honor your vitality, you broadcast permission for every woman watching, daughter, neighbor, friend, to do the same. And in that widening circle of well-nourished, well-rested, wonderfully alive women, the world grows healthier, one intentional breath at a time. Type 4. The creative soul. You stand in front of a paint-splattered drop cloth spread across the dining room table that once hosted Thanksgiving turkeys, science fair posters, and PTA spreadsheets. Now the surface is yours alone, and a watercolor pad waits like a fresh patch of snow. Yet as you uncap a tube of cerulean, an old tape starts playing in your head. Isn't serious art for young prodigies and professionals? You've spent decades managing budgets and bedtime stories. Today, you hesitate to blend blue and yellow, worried someone will call it cute, or worse, a nice little hobby. Outside, delivery trucks groan by, carrying other people's plans. Inside, your heart beats louder than the traffic, nudging you toward a brushstroke you can't quite begin. What if that hesitation springs not from lack of talent, but from a cultural myth that creativity has an expiration date? Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that older adults who practice an art form 3 times a week, painting, writing, quilting, wood carving, score higher on tests of memory, mood, and even immune function than peers who don't. Far from being frivolous, creative play triggers the release of dopamine, the brain's motivation molecule, and fosters neuroplasticity, the mind's ability to form new connections well into our 90s. So the real question isn't, am I too old to start? But, how much life am I leaving on the table by not starting? A blank canvas is less a test of skill than an invitation to keep your brain humming, your spirit singing, your days threaded with purpose. Here's the simple science behind that invitation. When you slip into what psychologists call flow, that sweet spot where minutes blur and self-consciousness fades, your prefrontal cortex quiets down, lowering cortisol and blood pressure while boosting endorphins that ease arthritis aches. Meanwhile, deep inside the hippocampus, fresh neurons spark to life, improving recall of names, grocery lists, and where you left the reading glasses. MRI scans at the University of Pittsburgh reveal that seniors engaged in creative pursuits show thicker white matter tracks, highways that speed communication between brain regions. In plain English, choosing watercolors over cable reruns is like adding extra lanes to the neural freeway, reducing traffic jams that cause senior moments. Translating these benefits into a daily rhythm doesn't require studying at the Art Institute or hauling a cello onto the city bus. Begin with 15-minute creative appetizers. Set a kitchen timer, open a sketchbook, and doodle shapes without judging the outcome. Or jot a tiny poem on a recipe card, remembering the scent of your grandmother's pot roast. Leave colored pencils in a coffee mug beside the remote. Each time commercials blare, shade a square of paper instead of channel surfing. Think of creativity as seasoning, not a 5-course meal. sprinkled through the day until your imagination tingles like taste buds waking up to a hint of cinnamon. Now, meet Helen Dixon, age 70, a former insurance auditor from Asheville, North Carolina, who once believed spreadsheets were her destiny. 2 years after moving into a cozy bungalow by herself, Helen rediscovered her childhood love of the piano. She bought a used keyboard for the price of one car repair and downloaded free lessons on an iPad propped against a cereal box. The first week, her fingers felt like gloved bananas, but by month 3, she could stumble through Moon River. Neighbors heard the melody drifting through screened windows and asked her to play at the Saturday farmers market. One wobbly performance led to another, and soon Helen was gigging with a quartet of retirees who call themselves the Second Chance Jazzers. Between rehearsals and lunches that spill into laughter, Helen's LDL cholesterol dropped, she shed 10 pounds. And, as her cardiologist reports, her resting heart rate rivals that of her 40-something daughter. If keyboards or canvases aren't your style, try story quilting, sewing fabric scraps that each hold a memory, a son's flannel camp shirt, a curtain from your first apartment, a vacation t-shirt bleached soft by Florida sun. Stitching activates fine motor skills that strengthen hand joints, and every square you add is a tangible chapter of your life's paperback. Prefer numbers? Join a community math circle, where puzzle lovers solve brain teasers that spark the same creative circuitry as composing haiku. Creativity wears many costumes. The only rule is that it lets your mind wander down corridors that grocery lists rarely visit. Technology can widen those corridors. Free apps like Procreate Pocket turn a smartphone into a paint set you can use while waiting in the doctor's office. Virtual writing groups on Zoom let you read a paragraph aloud to new friends in Portland or Peoria, sparing you a winter night drive. Don't fret about trolls or techno-jargon. Senior centers now host digital artistry hours, where volunteers guide you through screen taps step by step, no eye rolls allowed. Guard your creative time the way past generations guarded Sunday supper. Tell loved ones, I have an appointment with my easel at 3, and mean it. Set a ringtone that chimes like church bells 5 minutes before your session, signaling both invitation and boundary. If guilt whispers that you should be folding laundry, remind yourself that vibrant grandparents, mentors, and neighbors are not built on folded towels alone. They're built on curiosity that refuses to retire. Still, some days the muse hides under the bed with the dust bunnies. When that happens, switch senses. If colors won't flow, turn on a favorite ballad and trace its rhythm with your fingertips on the tabletop. If words feel heavy, step outside and photograph 3 textures: peeling paint, dandelion fluff, sunlit rust. Creativity is motion. Any step counts as dancing. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As the sky darkens and fireflies switch on like scattered LEDs, you rinse brushes or close the laptop, noticing a hum in your chest that wasn't there this morning. That vibration is your brain bathing in serotonin, your joints washed in synovial fluid warmed by gentle use, your soul stretching after decades curled around everyone else's needs. Tomorrow, the world may tug at your sleeve, doctor visits, grandkids' recitals, a neighbor's leaking faucet, but tonight you have proof that 24 hours contain at least one pocket stitched just for you. Remember Helen leaning over ivory keys, eyes closed, lips curved around a lyric only she can hear. Remember the quilt square that smells faintly of campfire, the photo of a cracked sidewalk revealing art in ordinary concrete. Remember that science backs your intuition. Creativity keeps the machinery of the mind oiled, the corridors of the heart lit, the narrative of self still gloriously under revision. So lay out those brushes, thread that needle, tune that guitar, power up that tablet. Whatever tool turns blank space into a mirror reflecting possibilities. Treat each stroke, stitch, note, or sentence as a breadcrumb leading deeper into a forest of wonder that belongs to you alone. And when someone marvels at your latest piece and sighs, I wish I had your talent, smile gently and shrug. Tell them talent is just curiosity that kept showing up after bedtime, and that the best place to start is wherever their hands happen to be. Because inside every quiet house lives a symphony waiting to be written. And tonight, dear creative soul, the baton is firmly in yours. Type 5. The Peace Seeker. You wake to the soft glow of dawn filtering through linen curtains, the air still cool and fragrant with overnight rain. Instead of rushing into the day's demands, you linger in bed a moment longer, savoring the calm before the world stirs. The usual clatter of cars and voices feels distant, replaced by the gentle rustle of leaves and the rhythmic tapping of a steady rain outside your window. In a society that prizes busyness and noise, your choice for quiet might seem unusual, or even lonely, to some. Yet for you, this peaceful solitude is not emptiness but sanctuary, a sacred space where your mind can breathe and your spirit find rest. What if this hunger for tranquility is not retreat but resilience? What if seeking peace isn't giving up on life but embracing it more fully? Research in environmental psychology shows that quiet environments reduce cortisol levels and lower heart rate, helping protect against stress-related illnesses. In older adults, exposure to calm natural settings is linked to improved attention, reduced anxiety, and even enhanced immune function. Your longing for peace isn't a weakness, it's a wise strategy for health and happiness. This science reflects ancient wisdom, too. Practices like meditation, gentle yoga, and mindful breathing activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest mode, slowing the breath, easing muscle tension, and promoting restorative sleep. Even brief daily moments of stillness can reset your nervous system, helping you meet life's challenges with greater ease. How do you cultivate this peaceful haven within your everyday life? Start with simple rituals that invite calm. Perhaps a morning walk in your garden, noticing the shapes of leaves and the songs of birds, grounding yourself in the present moment. Or a warm cup of herbal tea savored slowly by a window, letting your thoughts drift without judgment. Create a peace corner in your home, a cozy chair with soft lighting, a favorite blanket, perhaps a small fountain or a collection of smooth stones, where you can retreat for a few minutes of quiet whenever the world feels overwhelming. Consider Helen, a 74-year-old retired librarian from Portland, Oregon, who transformed her daily routine by dedicating 20 minutes each afternoon to meditation and journaling. What began as a tentative experiment soon blossomed into a beloved practice that eased her chronic arthritis pain and quieted a restless mind. Helen describes this time as her daily gift to myself, a space where worries dissolve and gratitude takes root. Remember, seeking peace doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world, but tuning into the gentle rhythms that sustain you. When noise and haste threaten to invade, return to your breath, your senses, your sanctuary. This inner calm becomes a wellspring of strength, allowing you to engage with life from a place of centeredness and grace. As the day unfolds, carry this peace with you, a steady pulse beneath your steps, a soft refuge amid life's noise. In your quiet moments lies a powerful truth. Peace is not the absence of life's colors, but the space in which they can shine brightest. As we come to the close of this journey exploring the 5 remarkable types of women who find true happiness living alone, remember this: independence is not a one-size-fits-all experience. Whether you identify with the independent spirit who cherishes freedom and self-reliance, the social butterfly who thrives on meaningful connections, the caregiver to herself who prioritizes well-being, the creative soul who breathes life into every day through art and expression, or the peace seeker who finds strength in stillness and quiet, you are part of a vibrant tapestry of women rewriting what it means to age with grace and joy. Living alone after 65 isn't a sign of loneliness or loss. It can be a profound statement of self-love, resilience, and choice. It's a chance to live authentically, pursue passions without compromise, and cultivate relationships on your terms. Your life, your rhythm, your story. These are yours to shape and cherish. If this video sparked something within you, curiosity, hope, or even a gentle nudge toward embracing your unique path, take it as a loving invitation. Share your story, reach out to a friend, or simply breathe in the power of your own company. Remember, happiness and fulfillment come in many forms, and living alone can be one of the most beautiful. Thank you for spending this time together. If you found value here, Please subscribe and join our community of strong, independent women celebrating life every day. Here's to your journey, a journey filled with freedom, connection, creativity, care, and peace. You deserve nothing less.